The following is a condensed version of an account of Rajaji's youth from the book I Meet Rajaji by Monica Felton. In one of her interviews, Monica Felton asked Rajaji, "Is it true that you were a very studious child?" He laughed. "The truth," he remarked, "is exactly the opposite." "Really?" "Oh, yes, really." "Where did you go to school?" "In my village, of course. Then to the middle class at Hosur, and after that to the Central Hindu College at Bangalore, where your guru was Mr. Tate." He asked, "Guru?" "Mr. Tate was my English teacher. He is dead. His full name was John Guthrie Tate, and he was a brother of P.G. Tate, the eminent physicist." "Did you never work at school and college?" "At school, never. And by the time I went to college, the habit was formed. I used to leave everything until the last moment before examinations and then try to mug things up overnight. I remember that my father brought me to Madras to sit for the examination for entry to the law college. He was a Sanskrit scholar, but he did not know English. He was the village munsif in Hosur. He was a very stern man, and he was extremely angry when I stayed up all night in the hotel in Madras swatting up facts from a textbook for the physics papers next day. There were two papers, one in statics and one in dynamics. By the time I had finished teaching myself statics, my father drove me to bed. The result was I got high marks in statics, but for dynamics I got 0. Symbolic. We laughed. He went on, "The high marks in statics were enough to let me through, so it didn't matter. My physics teacher was Mr. Cook. He used to get into furious rage with me because I always got high marks for English, composition, and low marks in his subjects. He called me every rude name in his vocabulary. You rascal, you humbug, you rogue. were you? I asked. He replied, a humbug and a rogue. He was still laughing at himself. The real trouble was that I had always been very myopic, and even after I got glasses, I was plagued by headache. Until I went to school for the first time, I did not realize that I could not see. When I sat in class, everything was a mystery. The blackboard was a distant blur, very far away, and when the teacher wrote on it, I could see nothing at all. I tried to persuade my father to buy me spectacles. He refused, and for a long time nothing would shake him. In those days, nobody under the age of 45 ever wore glasses, and my father thought that it was just vanity that made me want them. So I could not have studied properly at first, even if I had tried. What did you do all the time? In Hosur, I just used to wander around. I played truant whenever I could. And you played games with other children? No. My sight was so bad that I could not play any games. I could not swim either. Even after I got glasses, I still could not swim because the water clouded the glass. How old were you then? 12. I was sitting for the matriculation examination. It was a marvelous experience to see the world for the first time, to see the stars not just as a vague mist of light, but with points and corners and colors, and to wake up in the morning and see the shapes of the leaves on the trees. My vision has not deteriorated very much since then. So, even though you did not work, you must have been an impossibly precocious little boy. Not impossibly. He was correcting my use of my mother tongue. But still, I suppose, precocious. I was 17 when I took my degree and entered the Madras Law College. By the time I was 21, I had already defended my first murderer. Monica Felton introspects. I was still looking back, pitying the lonely child who used to wander down to the stream in the tiny hamlet of Thorapalde on the Deccan Plateau, where Rajaji lived until his family moved the short distance to the big village of Hosur when he was 5 years old. When he went to college in Bangalore, he had been lonely too. He had described in a speech he had made as Governor General how, in his day, all Brahmin boys had worn long hair. After a short time in college, his own hair had been full of lice, and he had longed to go to his mother to be looked after again. Perhaps he read my face. He said, If I had had a normal, active childhood, I probably should not have lived for 77 years. The heart is like a clock. It is wound up for a certain number of ticks, and if it is overwound, it wears out too soon.